Alright, so now we're going to take off the oil pan, and the reason we're doing this, as we can see here, the gasket that was put on here, it looks like there's maybe two gaskets, or just sort of a gasket repair, and it's really ugly. It's just coming out here, it's really ugly. So we're going to repair this, we're going to redo the gasket, and to do this we need to remove the oil pan. So we need to remove these small bolts. You can pull the oil pan off. We've got to clean off the gasket, put new gasket on, put the oil pan back in, and then we're good to go. So I'll show you how to do that. So we've just removed the oil pan, and one thing to note here is when you first break all the bolts and you break the seal, if you try and remove the oil pan, it won't come out, and that's because the baffle plate is still stuck to the oil pan, and then the oil pickup here won't let it come out. So you got to split the baffle plate from the oil pan itself. So there's actually two seals here, one on the top of the baffle plate and then one on the bottom. And then you can leave the baffle plate in and you can remove the oil pickup and take the baffle plate out. So we'll do that now. Alright, so now we're ready to install the oil pan and baffle again. So we have the cleaned up oil pan, and we clean everything up here. We have the cleaned up baffle. You have to do both sides here. We have the clean surfaces for the baffle plate on the block, and we have a cleaned up strainer, which we're going to be reinstalling as well. So make sure everything is ready before you start, because the sealant, seal packing sealant, it dries very quickly. So you got to put the baffle plate on quickly, put the oil strainer in quickly, and then put the oil pan on back up quickly, all within minutes. So you got to have everything ready to go. Let's do that now. So we finished. Everything is bolted up and torqued down properly. A few things to note: you have to do this quickly because the sealant dries quite fast, and getting the stuff out of that tube, you think it would be easy, but after doing it for some time, your hand really fucking hurts. So be careful when doing this. Your hand will cramp up, and you have to do it fast. You have to keep going, so push through. Just be aware that it is difficult, so be ready. So once we got everything up here, you can see there's a little bit of stuff coming out, oozing out from the bolts. That's fine. Just torque everything down to the proper specs, and if you want, you can replace your oil pan bolt, and I did. I have a magnetic bolt from Blocks, so that just has a little magnet in there that takes any metal shavings from the oil, so when I change my oil I can get all the metal shavings out. So kind of cool, $12 or something like that. And now we're ready to flip the engine and let the sealant dry for a couple hours before filling up with oil. Or in my case, I have lots of time. It's on the block here. One thing to note: this job would be really difficult if the engine's in the car. Everything would have to be done upside down. It was hard enough doing it here with the proper, bench tools and hand tools, working top down. It was really difficult. So if you're going to do this job, if you have the engine out anyway, do it now. Save yourself the trouble of doing it later. It is a pain in the butt. So do it when you have the engine up on the block here, and get it done. Good luck.